Right, so I think we are live, and welcome to this week's Soul Wisdom training, which I'm delighted to be inviting and talking to the lovely Dr. Anna Kaminska. And we're going to be talking about the redefining women's roles in leadership. So I'm just going to check that we are live in the group, because always good to know that we're there. Sometimes these things, yes, we are. So that's great. These things sometimes take a little minute to just update themselves. So I'm really excited to be here with you, Anna. It's fantastic.
For the invitation.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself then. Tell us a little bit about what you do. Fascinating.
What I do and what I did in the past.
Yes.
How I redefined my role.
Yes. Very important.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Poland, and I was for over a decade. I was a lawyer. I have a PhD in law, and all my life I thought I'm gonna be the lawyer. But when I got all this, like position, title, family, child, everything was perfect, I felt somehow unfulfilled, and I thought, so this is it. It's like the end, nothing more for me in life. And that was the moment when I invested in my own coaching process, in my work with coaches, with mentors. And I always said to every woman that was the best investment I could ever make, to invest in yourself. Oh. So during this process, I discovered that actually my first, like, my quality of life improved so dramatically within just a couple of months that I decided that this is what I would like to do in the future. I want to support women in having the same kind of joy and fulfillment in life that I experienced, that it's possible to have, and in, as I said, just a couple of months. I was working in a male-dominated workplace because I was a lawyer in construction works in real estate.
Oh,
so
right.
all around me, and there was additional aspect of my transformation, that from the person who saw herself as a victim of the system, of unjust system, and that everybody's against me, and there's a lot of inequalities, to the place where I felt that there is nothing I can complain about when it comes to the way I'm perceived, I'm treated, the way, how much money I earn, the position I have, how much my voice means for others. That as I said, it changed dramatically, but it wasn't because some kind of unexpected change in the situation. It was because I've changed. And one of the aspects, crucial aspect, why I'm here right now and talking with you, is that I found this courage to change my profession, to quit law, to become a coach for women. I work only with women. I find the courage to move to Canada from Poland, despite all this formalities, and the immigration process is extremely hard for somebody who is not Prince Harry. And but I done this, and I know there is no such thing like impossible in life when you know what you want to do, and I found this power, this source of power within myself, and now I help women to achieve the same, no matter what, how hard, how unjust is your work environment, how you see yourself as the victim of the system. It's always you who need to change, because, as Wayne Dyer once said, when you change the way you think, when you change the way you look at things, the thing you look at change, right? And I like an example. This is really it works. It really works.
Our perception is so much, isn't it, of our experience, and if we feel that we are we don't have any choices, then we don't take any action that creates new and different experiences for ourselves. So when we know and we can empower ourselves through the work that you do, and so many of us do, it's like then we can really create the changes that we want.
Absolutely.
How things work.
Mm-hmm. And when I sometimes have this impression that things that I do right now, I could not even imagine doing these things in the past, like 2-3 years ago, even, the people whom I met, famous people whom I have a chance to be close with, this is something like my visualization board is come true every day.
Yes.
Everybody have this kind of life and this kind of experience. This 100% sure, because this is what even quantum physics teaches us today, that your consciousness create your physical reality, and this is it.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. It's how we look at things, and knowing that we can feel empowered, can change everything for us. So tell us, we would we've been talking a little bit about, the subconscious mind and these cultural roles that we've been playing out, and I think I put it in the post, it's around, we've been playing out these roles as women for centuries, if not possibly longer. And, how this has really helped us to, stay stuck in those roles, even though the world around us is changing. We are being offered so many more leadership roles, and how we can then really break free of those old ways of doing things, so we can truly step into equality and leadership in those roles alongside men.
Yes. So let's start with saying, what was this role for as you said, millennia? So our role was definitely not a leadership role. It was not a role to lead others. We could not even lead our own lives. There was always somebody, men, who decided for us. First it was the father, then it was a husband. They were always the one who decided for us. We had no voice. We had no right to decide about anything, right? And suddenly we had to be subordinate to obedient, not to say no to men. Yeah, that was the reality. And this reality it created some certain thinking patterns in our brain, in our minds. The way we think, the way we feel and behave today is the aftermath of this programming, this past programming. So suddenly, like a couple of decades ago, situation has changed drastically. Yeah, we had formal equality. We can decide what we want to do with our own lives, what we would like to do in our professional life. We can lead teams, we can be CEOs, we can be presidents, we can be whoever we want to be. But for subconscious mind, we have still this old software. I would call this like a software. So the thing is that all this modern mainstream empowerment movement gonna appeal to our conscious mind. They're gonna tell us, oh, you have equal rights, fight for your rights, go and apply for this position, no more men rules, now women gonna rule, and all this stuff, and all this self-help books and leadership courses, they're gonna always appeal to this conscious mind. When I say conscious mind, I always like show here, because prefrontal cortex, right? While the subconscious mind, in this limbic brain, we have still this ancient, outdated thinking patterns that said, you're not good enough, you're worse than man, you should not apply for this position. So we are not aware that what we are not aware of, and aware of what's in our subconscious mind. This is the place where we can start to create a totally different way of thinking, reacting, and emotional reacting, and acting, different choices, right? But it won't happen with just learning new skills, and this is the point, And it won't happen through new regulations like equal payment or some quotas, how many women, how many men we should have in the board. This won't help, because there's many examples of women who are already on the top position, like for example, Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook. She has the power, position, money, respect, anything a woman could imagine to have. And she admits that she often wake up and feel like imposter, that she should not be here, that somebody gonna find out that her knowledge is not like equal to her position. Angela Merkel admits to have the same feeling of being afraid that somebody gonna think she's stupid, she's not qualified enough. Men rarely has this kind of problem. It's usually us women, because we have this different programming in our subconscious mind. Obviously, men has a lot to change within themselves as well, but when it comes to leadership roles, they were programmed for millennia to lead, to fight with the enemy, to work together, to fight together, to hunt together, but to cooperate. But with women, it was totally a different program, right? So that's why we have to rewire this. And what are 3 steps we should take? So the steps of most leadership courses focus on the skills. You have to know how to give the feedback, how to communicate in non-aggressive way, how to lead the team, how to solve the problems, how to manage time, and all this stuff. It's obviously important and it's necessary. But in my approach, it's the final step. It's the 4th step. First, you need to have this programming, which gonna support you. You have to rewire and create new thinking patterns in your brain. As I said, we still have subconsciously, not consciously, subconsciously, we still have outdated thinking patterns. So
because I just want to go back to, just what you said, so fascinating about these old societal roles, and they are so subconscious, and the programming of it, because it's really, it's no wonder these things have been a struggle for us, and things are a struggle for us, and that we feel like imposters, as you said, that we feel that we're not good enough if we are still carrying around this old programming that we've been doing for centuries. And it's not many generations ago. My parents definitely, still play out some of that. And, I've had to relearn that, and it's just so fascinating. So I just really want to highlight that point, because it's such a fundamental element. And just to really inquire for yourselves, those of you that are listening or watching the replay, to really think about what are those societal roles that you are playing out as a mother, as a wife, as a girlfriend, as a partner, as a in your role as an entrepreneur, and really to think more deeply about that. But so I just really wanted to linger on that point.
And it's also important to add that, I would also like to stress out why we need to focus on the subconscious mind, because scientists and neuroscientists are agree that 95 up to 97% of what's happening in our brain is happening below the level of our consciousness. So we consciously think that, I'm strong, I'm confident.
95%.
Yes, we are conscious only for about 3 to 5% during all the time we are awakened.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Below the level of consciousness, and it's measurable. It's scientific fact. There's no argue when it comes to how subconscious. It's like the tip of the iceberg, our consciousness. The rest is it's somewhere hidden, and we haven't covered what's inside. And if we take an example of this thinking pattern, I am confident, I am good enough, I am worthy, we consciously believe that it's I don't have problem with my confidence. One woman may say, I'm okay, I feel confident, I feel strong, but it's on this conscious level. When we go deep into subconscious level, again, we have this old outdated thinking patterns, and this is the reason why we have, for example, this gender pay gap, because it's not that somebody have, obviously it should be equal on this legal side, right? But women are willing to accept 20% less than men. They are. It's proven with studies, UK studies done for many years, year by year, with graduates at Manchester University, as far as I remember. And always when they ask women how much you think you're gonna deserve, you should earn, how much you deserve to earn after graduation, year by year, women always answer 20% less than men. They did not even enter the market, the workplace, but they already assume that they are 20% less worthy. And when it comes to asking, let's say, for a salary raise, they ask 4 times less often than the men. That's another fact. Yeah. So when we compare these numbers, then not surprisingly that we're going to have a gender pay gap. If you do not ask for salary as often as your male colleague, and if you ask for 20% less, how come it's not surprising, right?
And so, as you said, you know, the responsibility is ours to shift this pattern, because as we contribute to the consciousness, still kind of like dragging these old, you know, roles and old beliefs and limitations, we're contributing that to the consciousness. So it is our role. Oh my goodness, this is so fascinating. Okay, right.
The example I give with Sheryl Sandberg, right? She has money, she has position, but still deep inside her, she feels like I don't deserve. Somebody gonna find out I'm an imposter, right? So the first, this is just one of the examples. That was just one example of this confidence, but we have a lot of thinking patterns that are like physically in our brain. We follow the same path. We have to choose different path, and we have to create new connections. It's not about only how we subjectively gonna feel, that we're gonna feel better or more confident. We need to have physical proof in our brain in order to be more confident. So this is the first step, rewiring thinking patterns. The second step is changing and rewire emotional reactions. And here, like for many women, this is the huge thing. Eckhart Tolle described this as the body pain, as female body pain. It's this accumulation of energy such as rage, frustration, anger, all these experiences women had for millennia, like being abused, violence, no voice, right? Always under men in hierarchy. It creates the energy field, which is often suppressed within us. So we do not see that we have a lot of resentment, a lot of negative emotions. But on this energetic level, and you're an expert on this, people subconsciously, people feel this energy, because we can say something with the words, but we in fact communicate with the energy. We use energy to communicate long before the language was developed, the ability to speak was developed. So we subconsciously feel that something is not okay. I don't know what on this conscious level, but subconsciously I feel there's something wrong. And then we have this result at the workplace that women are often called difficult, or they've been called aggressive. They see this as an example of biases, of gender stereotypes, because they're not aware that this suppressed and negative energy they kept within themselves, this sore points, create energy field. So when they negotiate, when they ask for salary, or when they simply discuss on the meeting, somebody can, like male, for example, can feel that, oh, she is difficult. And it's not about what she says. It's about the energy field she created. And this is the huge change from my personal perspective, discovering what was this 4 points within myself was the huge improvement, because this is what create the dramatic change in perception. I stopped to be seen as a person who is nagging, or sometimes rude or aggressive. Obviously, I called myself assertive at that time. I thought I was assertive. Now I see that was aggression, and this is often what women struggle with. They think they are back on the stuff level. Other people see them as aggressive, right? So emotional changing, discovering this hidden pain, this negative emotion suppressed within ourselves, and heal this. This is the second step. The first step is may sound interesting for some of the viewers, because it's always it's never discussed in the leadership coaching, which is sexuality. Sexuality is the part of our personality, is the part of who we are. And the fact the problem with this in the work environment is that people automatically assume that when you talk about sexuality, you talk about sex. We don't want to have sex in the workplace, so we won't talk about it. But it's a part of our a part of who we are, our source of confidence, self-confidence. And every woman can have this experience after having an orgasm. You're like Wonder Woman. No obstacle is an obstacle. No problem is a problem. You can solve anything. Well, you're like a queen of the world, right? Because
Yes.
you are, yes, absolutely.
I love it.
You connect. Yeah, and you also work with energy, so you know that sexual energy is such a strong, such a powerful energy. It's responsible for charisma. It's responsible for how people perceive us as powerful, like authentically powerful. And it has nothing to do with temptation or with, showing your body or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think is the And imagine now a woman who is shy around her body, who has a body shame, who perceives her body as a problem or discomfort, how she can be a tough negotiator, how she can negotiate with a man, yeah, or how she can say no to unwanted advances if she still is run by the subconscious programs, which, as I said at the beginning, they run our behaviors for 95% of the time. So sexuality, finding this, connect with your this crucial part of who you are. It's also important to redefine this role. And the final step is the skills. The final step is, let's take, for example, giving the feedback on nonviolent communication. You can graduate in flying colors with the course of giving nonviolent feedback. But if you're not aware of your emotional reactions, for example, if you're not aware of, if you can't grasp this moment when the stress or a fear or anger arise, you have 2-3 seconds to either become the observer or step into it. And if you're not able to catch this moment when anger inside you arises, or a fear or anything that put you automatically into this subconscious mode of survival mode. So you start to run according to one of the programs, like, for example, fight. And when you not meet the deadline at the work, for example, and you won't meet, and there's a risk that you're gonna have some serious consequences because of a project you manage, and let's call it straight away, like fuck up, you suddenly start to protect yourself, and you need to fight. So instead of using one of the techniques you've been taught on these courses, like how to give feedback in a non-violent way, you explode, and these courses won't help. And people, again, like a vicious circle, they see you as angry, they see you as somehow aggressive, because you can't catch this moment when this anger arises within you. So skills are important, but as a last step, when you have like right connections for thinking, emotional reactions, and all this is like under your control, and you're aware, it's a conscious part of yourself, it's not a subconscious part. So then it's time for improving skills. And this is the steps.
We have to have an awareness. I've always, taught a lot around mindfulness, and awareness is the first key to anything. And this is, bringing the unconscious into the conscious. And that's what I do with the energy work. And this is what you're helping your clients with. And it's so fascinating, because I can really see, and I love your point about sexuality and how we start to see ourselves as differently within that, because the way we hold ourselves, the way we feel about our bodies and our own sexuality as females is going to affect our roles in leadership. So that is really fascinating. It makes so much sense. But sorry, say that again.
The reason why our sexuality was suppressed and punished for millennia is because somebody knew that it's a huge source of power, that a woman who is not afraid, who is not shy, who said, I simply don't care what people gonna think, say about me, about my needs, my desires. I don't care. She's not afraid about anything, and she's much more difficult to manipulate. It's difficult to manipulate with this kind of person, because there's no fear, there is no shame, no confidence. It's all low frequency energies. Shame, guilt, fear, low in this scale of vibration, right? So we need to transform this energy, and then suddenly this is where this power comes from. And suddenly you see, like it was in my case, that you attract totally different people to your life. There are always stereotypes somewhere, and there are always people you can hear that they struggle with lack of gender equality, but it somehow doesn't relate to you anymore. And I even had this experience where a man said, "Oh, she's a woman, but she's I don't know what's about her, but she is different than any other woman," which was compliment in the sense that it was a totally different energy. You're still feminine. You're not becoming a man. It's not about becoming a man. You're still feminine. You have a lot of energy. But
energy together,
they feel that's why I said it's our job to change this. It's not no point to wait for, as I said, new regulation, corporate policies, or some quotas that they're gonna solve this problem. They won't, because it comes from inside, not from the external environment.
Yeah, that is such an important point, really, you know, just to finish on, because I totally agree with that. You know, it is our responsibility. That is about taking back that sense of leadership, of that we are powerful women and we can define our roles however we choose. And so that is so wildly important. I knew this was going to be a lot, like such a fascinating conversation, and I could really I've got so many questions still bubbling in my head, but maybe we will have to do a part two to this.
Absolutely. I totally agree that we can always think about a sequel, right?
Yeah, let's think about that, because I'm sure just this idea of sexuality, I think, is really hugely important, and I think will really, you know, resonate with many women who are watching this, you know, and, you know, it's important for men to understand this as well. So I invite the men to watch this as well. But I'm gonna have to end it there, unfortunately. But thank you so much, Anna. This has been hugely fascinating. If you're watching the recording, then please do comment, please do ask questions. We would love to engage with you more. But Anna, what can I know you've got a new Facebook group that you're launching. So tell us a little bit about that and where people can find you. And if there's anything that you would like to ask this community in terms of, anything you need.
So I've just launched the group for, it's women only group. It's called Conscious Business. It's women only.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I did not accept mine to this group. As I work only with women, and the aim of this group is to raise women's consciousness and awareness. The group is called Conscious Business Women. I invite anybody who is interested in this kind of approach. I'm gonna have lives every weekend, and my friend from UK is gonna have lives as well. We're gonna talk a lot about different aspects of reprogramming subconscious mind, on discovering purpose, like deep purpose, purpose, mission in life. Like we're gonna talk a lot about this spiritual aspect of business as well. We can also say, I think right now, that you're gonna be a guest soon, hopefully soon, for the interview to talk Akashic Records, and how Akashic Records can go in the business. So I'm gonna post this the link to this group. It's a brand new group, and anybody, any woman who is interested in this kind of approach, you're all invited.
Yes, I think it's highly fascinating. So we will put the links to that in the post, so you can join the group, and we'll also put a couple of other links to where you can find Anna if you want to have a conversation with her and you want to talk more about this.
I can also post a link to my website, where any woman who feels like, this message resonates with me, I would like to learn more about this. I will post a link to my calendar, and I offer an hour free complimentary conversation when we can you can ask any questions, and we'll see what will be the right solution for you at this moment.
Absolutely. Amazing. So thank you for your time today, sharing your knowledge and sharing your wisdom. And there's been like a few snippets in there that have just like kind of got me sparking and thinking. So thank you so much. And and we look forward to seeing you again. So thank you again. Please do, as I said, comment on the post if you're watching this. Let us know what you think, and let us know if you've got any question. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.